Hello and welcome to another day of your Amazon Web Service learning journey. In this session, we are going to talk about the Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, or popularly known as the AWS EC2. That's one of the core Amazon service for providing infrastructure as a service model. In this session, we would first try to understand what is EC2, what is an AMI, and what are the various types of AMI. We would also try to understand the pricing model of the EC2, some of the key terminology of the security groups, key pairs, elastic IPs of the EC2, all about this in this session. What is Amazon EC2? Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud gives you a virtual machine in the cloud. These machines are also known as a server instance. They are launched in Amazon's data centers using APIs or available tools and utilities. Now, you are allowed to use these servers at any time for as long as you need, but only for the legal purpose. Now, why is this so important, legal purpose word here? Reason is the instances are available in various sizes, starting from 1 GB RAM to up to 244 GB RAM machines are available. Various size of CPU configurations are available, and that makes it very attractive for the hackers also. Something which is available on demand, something which is scalable, it can be easily used for some kind of a hacking purpose. And that's why Amazon says, if you're using it for the legal purpose, I'm fine. If I get some complaints, I get something that you are doing something mischievous or notorious activity from this machine, I may stop your access. And advantage is this gives you an instance that you can use to meet specific needs. Here the advantage is for various kind of a tenants, whether you are working as an organization or an individual user, you can define your requirements, and based on that you would get the server. Now you can define your requirement means you go and say I need 3 GB RAM. No, that's not the case. Amazon has a preset sizes, 600 MB, 1 GB, 2 GB, 4 GB, 8 GB kind of a sizes available. You select from that, and Amazon would provide from the infrastructure. The most important part, this is a pay as you go model. Whatever you are using, you are going to pay only for that part, for nothing anything extra. So this would also help you to save a lots of cost in compared to your data centers. If you remember in the AWS overview, we talk about that when your need arises, you want to achieve the scalable aspect, you have to procure a new infrastructure. But if you were in a cloud, it can give you on demand scalable infrastructure which you use as long as you want, and if you don't want, you would be able to dispose that, and with the pay as you go model you would be able to save the money. Now think, what are those aspects over I'm talking about? Available on demand whenever you need, available, elastic or scalable by nature, resource pooling, pay as you go model, accessible over internet. This is the perfect offering of IaaS, the infrastructure as a service model by Amazon EC2. It gives you the required resources. EC2 is real elastic by nature. It's very flexible and secure. Flexible means it comes in various sizes, various pricing models. It gives you options to work with. It's a highly reliable services. I'll tell you, I'm running a few of my instances since years, and I have no option or no downtime at all over the period of time. Yeah, you have to take care of the certain aspects of the scalability and all that, but it's a wonderful thing. And security, we spoke about, it's all about the shared responsibility. I have ensured the security of my resources. It's working perfectly fine for me. And that's why it's a ready to use AMI is also available here. It's a very cheaper, very cost effective to be used. So with all this, Amazon EC2 makes a very likely choice for a hosting service in the cloud. Now, what are some key terminology you would like to understand for the Amazon? For the EC2 perspective, if you think about what is an AMI, AMI stands for Amazon Machine Image. Amazon Machine Image is more like if you have to use the ghost image, if you're in a or ISO image, This is the exactly kind of a scenario. It could be a little odd analogy to give, but that is the case. What happens in an ISO image or ghost image? When you run this, it would create an environment including OS, registry, the required software as it is. So it makes a very life faster or easier for you to replicate the environment. Similar case is with the Amazon machine image. It's a pre-configured bundle software. I repeat, pre-configured bundle software which when executed or launched would result in a virtual server. Now you would think, what do I mean by the virtual server or here? See, the case would be you would have an AMI. That AMI, think of it's a LAMP AMI. Now if you know what is LAMP, Linux, Apache, MySQL and PHP. When you have an LAMP AMI, you select that AMI and say launch. It results in a virtual server in the cloud, an EC2 instance. That server would have an operating system as a Linux. It would have a Apache installed as part of that. It would also have the MySQL database installed as part of that, and PHP engine also installed part of that. Advantage is you don't, after launching an instance, you don't need to go and configure each and everything again. It's readily available for you and within a few minutes. Now suppose you made certain changes here. You added certain configuration files, you added your source code, you might have added certain data to MySQL. What about this? If you want to replicate similar environment, you can create a new AMI out of this. We call it AMI2. When you have an AMI2 available, what you can do is, in future, when you launch a new instance from AMI2, it would have this Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP. In addition, it would have that your data, it would have that your source files, it would also have that configuration files. Everything would be part of that new virtual machine or instance. So AMI helps you to replicate environment. By just selecting an AMI, you launch it, it would be giving you the whatever the pre-configured software part of that bundle image would be available in that virtual machine. Now generally this server you get might have an temporary storage. If you want to get all the data persistence, because if you are using file systems, you are using the uh, database, you need the persistent systems. Amazon volumes or EBS volume helps you for this. EBS we are going to touch upon in the upcoming sessions, but EBS stands for elastic block storage, that helps you to achieve a persistent storage. Each volume would have also have, if you want to replicate more volumes like that, you want to take a backup of this, you can take a snapshot out of that. So that's the snapshot concept. From this snapshot, whenever a snapshot is taken, that volume would always be stored in Amazon storage known as Amazon S3, Amazon Simple Service Storage. If you make an AMI, AMI is always stored in the S3. The data of the AMI would be stored in the S3. Now you would say, can I see the data of the S3 or data of the AMI, whatever is configured? What happens? Whenever you create an AMI or you take a snapshot, Amazon would compress the data and store in its own format inside S3. So in the snapshot corner, you can see what is the snapshot you have. You might not be able to view the exit data, but with the single click of a button, you can create a new volumes. Or in the same way, if you have an AMI, with a few clicks of the button, you can launch a new virtual server for you. So it's a very important for us to understand that what is an AMI, Amazon machine image. It's a pre-configured bundle software instance or virtual machine. That's the virtual server available in the cloud. Each AMI, when you talk about the Amazon EC2, an AMI would have two types of the AMIs basically. That is based on the root device available with that. First one is EBS backed AMI. In the EBS backed AMI, the default root device is an Amazon EBS volume. We spoke about the EBS volume in the previous slide. What happens? The EBS volume is a persistent storage. It's a plug and play device like. Now, when an instance is launched with the EBS backed AMI, a default root device of EBS volume would be created and attached as a root device to this. Advantage is this root device would persist. So any changes in this file system or storage would also survive the instance failures. So even if your instance goes down, it's a crashes, don't worry, your volume might not be deleted and your file system can be completely recovered. Yes, there is an additional charge that's of the Amazon EBS volume. But frankly, when you compare the cost of the EC2 running instance and when you think of the persistence it achieves, that's a very negligible cost. But just to make you aware that there is a little cost attached with that. At the same time, there is a second type of AMI which is now not very popularly used, but Amazon originally started EC2 offering with instant storeback AMIs. In the instant storeback AMI, when an instance is launched from this type of AMI, it will always have an ephemeral storage. Ephemeral means temporary. This ephemeral means temporary storage. Now this temporary storage happens what? That as soon as your instance terminates, all the data of the storage would be lost also. It would be immediately deleted. So there is no persistent attached with that. Yeah, in case you want to make something persistent, what you have to do is you have to create an additional EBS volume and attach to the running instance. So you get one advantage here. That advantage is you can control which file to persist. It would also help you save little bit of cost because the root device is ephemeral and root device is not EBS. So little bit of cost saving also. But that comes with the cost. As I said, as soon as the instance terminated, all data is lost and that's not the recommended option. So unless you have a specific need where you need to use the temporary storage, ideally you should be using EBS back AMIs only. Even newer versions on the newer generation of instance are coming with the EBS back AMIs only. But still, it's important to note that there are second type of AMI also available with the Amazon. Let's see what other advantage or disadvantage you get with this kind of AMIs. If it's a instant store back AMI, it would have only two states. When you launch an instance, initial instance would be in a pending state. Then once it's a configured, it would be coming to the running state. And when you don't want to use it, you terminate that. Now, as long as the instance is running, it would be costing you for hourly cost. In compare, when I go to EBS back instance, when the instance is launched, it would be initially in a pending state. Then it would come to the running state. If you're not using, it would be coming to the terminated state. But the advantage is there is a one more stage here that is called the stop stage. In the stop stage is more like a hibernate kind of a case where it completely stops the instance. It helps you from the savings of the running cost. And whenever you want it back, you can start it back. When you start, it would again come to the running state. You can use it as it is. And when you don't want, you can stop it also. Only challenge here is this thing is available with the EBS back instance, and that EBS volume would keep on costing every time, whether instance is running or not running, EBS volume would cost you. But remember I mentioned it's still a negligible cost. Why? For example, roughly an instance costs you between 2 cents to $1.50 something hourly basis. If we say take a average, an instance is charging you 10 cents per hour, 0.10 cents. It's in a dollar charging, so it would be charging you that way. Suppose if you are in a instance store back AMI, when you launch an instance, it would keep on running for 24 hours. So your cost would be coming around $2.4 per day, and over the month it would be coming total cost of the $72. When you are in the EBS back instance, the cost would be same. The running cost always remains same. Yeah, there would be an additional cost of the EBS. So suppose you take the EBS volume and it cost you 10 cents per GB. So you created a 100 GB, 100 GB, which is not you are going to use, but still if you have created 100 GB volume, it would be costing you $10 extra per month. Now imagine in this case your total cost of EC2, if it's a EBS back, would be 72 plus 10, so $82 it would be costing you. You get multiple advantages which we see in the next slide, but just imagine a case. You need this AMI only between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's an 8 hours a day. If I am using EBS back instance, I run only 8 hours a day. So over the period of time, over 30 days, I would be paying total cost, because I'm going to pay only one third cost now, as I'm going to stop it when I'm not using. My monthly cost would come down to 24 and $10 fixed cost of the storage. So total cost would come down to $74. Sorry, $34. Can you see the huge saving here? If you stop, advantage is you can immediately come back to the running state when you require within a minute, and it would help you save lots of cost here. Apart from that, when you say EBS, we see it can be started and stopped. The data would always persist with the EBS. It can have up to boots within a minute. That's the one more advantage. When you are talking about the scalability, this is more important because you want to scale up as you want as early as possible. The size limit also, it's up to 16 terabytes persistent storage it can provide. And one of the biggest advantages, if you want to make an AMI out of an instance, EBS back AMI gives you one click option. With just a right click you can make an AMI, while in instance store back AMI it takes a lots of steps of 5 to 10 minutes to create just an AMI. Overall this is very useful. Even the performance wise also this is very useful. So Amazon recommends going forward, unless you have a specific case, you should go with the Amazon EBS back AMI only. Yeah, some people fondly call instant store back AMI as a S3 back AMI also, but the right terminology to use is instant store back AMI only. Now you want to launch an EC2 instance. So what are the parameters you need to take care of? In the hands-on demo we would be doing this, but just to make you aware, when you are going to launch an instance, you have to understand what is the parameter you are going to use, which region you are going to select, which is the operating system you are going to use, which is the software you are going to use. Are you going to use the EBS back instance or instance store back AMI? Which AMI are you going to use? So making an AMI, these are the criteria you need to select. Then when you launch an instance, you might need to select the 32-bit or 64-bit OS you are going to see. What is the size of the instance? Instance has a multiple size, which we are going to see in upcoming slides. Also, you need to check what kind of a IO performance you need, and that also makes a decision in selecting size for your instance. Let's see the different instance type. I am in the website awsamazon.com/EC2, and then here when I open, I click on the instance types or instances, it would show me the various instance types. What Amazon has done is Amazon has distributed the instance into various families based on your usage. The first family is known as a general purpose family. This is where you want to get the balance between the CPUs and the memory. Each instance would have a separate CPU and memory comparing the other instance type. So if you see T2 family, T2 is a T2 nano, micro, small, medium, large, different kind of a instance size available. Each would have a different kind of a CPUs and different kind of a memory available here. That's the RAM. This family is only EBS back AMI only. They work with the EBS back AMIs only. This family works. This is for the balance between the CPU and memory when you want to use that. and all the details pertaining to that family, what is this features about this is available on this site also. Second is M4 instance. Again, it's a general purpose family only, where M4 is the newer generation or latest generation, which is more for the performance. The storage when it gets is a SSD based storage only. It gives you dedicated throughput, and again based on which large, extra large, double extra large, 10x large, you can get up to 160 GB RAM. The one generation previous, that is M3 family, had also mix of the CPUs and memory. And you can see there are various use cases also listed down for M3 and M4 family, which you can select, and based on your requirement you can use that. Now suppose you have a requirement where you want the higher compute power. You want to run something batch process, you want to run some analytics, you need more compute power. So this is the family available for you. C4.large, C4.extra large, double extra large, different kind of a family available for. In the C4.extra large, when you see, you would have a compute to memory ratio little higher. So you would get more compute power comparing the memory you are getting. Same way you have a C4 family, C3 family, and various kind of family. And I tell you, based on each family or each instance type you are selecting, Amazon charges you separately. Second is memory optimized instance. In the memory optimized, you get more memory compared to CPUs. You need for the caching or other purpose where you require a lots of memory part. So you can see you get up to 244 GB RAM machine with 32 CPU. And again, this is an advantages for you. This is pay as you go model, very faster for you. What you want to do? Within a few minutes, you get 244 GB RAM with CPUs. What do you want more? Do you need graphical process unit computes? Amazon does offer that with the GPU units. Also, it has that available, which is having high performance NVIDIA GPUs. This is more for the 3D application streaming, machine learning when you want to use that. In some cases where you have a high storage requirements, you need a very dedicated IO and all that. That's also available with the storage optimized instance. So it has a high IO instance, dense storage instance. When you see all this, you would get the complete summary of each and every instance. Along with that, the what kind of a network performance they give you, what is the physical processor they are having, what is the clock speed available here. So you can get the summary of each and every instance type, the families, what is the performance in the from this page. Now, if you have observed, everywhere there was a word used was a virtual CPUs. This is around a couple of or rather year and a half back or something like mid of the 2014, Amazon has started believing this is more like a vCPU. Virtual CPU is made popular or terminology made popular by the VMware. This is based on the VM's operating system. Before that, all Amazon families were coming in the elastic compute units. Now the challenge was with that unit was Amazon keeps adding new and new infrastructure. So suppose they procured some infrastructure in 2007, and now in 2010 they might have procured some other infrastructure. They both would be offering you M3 large instance. Now the clock speed, CPU capacity of both the instance would be different. In that case, this is an advantage. In this case, there is an advantage for you that when there is a different in this, if you get an instance from the newer generation firmware or hardware, your instance might be performing little better comparing the same M3 large instance which was given from the older generation of the hardware. And to overcome that, Amazon has now made it a standard that this is the what CPU unit I measure, and based on that you would be getting the output. Let's understand a key terminology of the Amazon. let's understand a few key terminology of the Amazon. What are the important things when you want to learn about when you are talking about the Amazon EC2? First and foremost is Amazon key pair. They are a public and private key pair given by Amazon. They are also known as a PEM files. That's a privacy enhanced mail security certificate. In that case, what would happen when you see PEM file? When you are launching an EC2 instance, you would get a public and private key. So you go to EC2 console, which we will show in the demo. You create a key. Amazon would give you option to download the private key. You have to download and save that key. Once that key is saved, you have to ensure that it would stay with you always. And when it would stay with you always, because Amazon does not store that private key on behalf of you. It just stores the public key. Now, where do you use this key? Whenever you are launching an instance, whether you are launching a Windows instance or a Linux instance, you can you have to attach this key with the instance. Advantage is you can SSH or RDP to that instance using this key. This key would be helpful, a private key which belongs to you would be helpful to connect to your instance remotely. So it's very important that when you create this key, you download the private key and store it at a secure place. A security group we spoke about briefly yesterday is a virtual firewall offered by Amazon. Whenever you are launching an EC2 instance, you can attach a security group to that instance. You can attach one or more security group to same instance. Each security group would have its own rules. And if one instance is having a multiple rules, it would be supporting the bigger of that. So if one security group does not allow port 80, but another security group allows port 80, eventually it would allow port 80 because one of the groups says allow this. If you make any change to the group, immediately that would be applied to the instance. You can control your inbound and outbound traffic. So this is what the security group would look like for you. You go and create, and you can select which inbound rule you are configuring, whether you are allowing 80, 22, what are the allowing that. And the source would be from which source do you allow. And it's a very important. You can specify your own IP address. That's your home machine, your laptop, or your office machine from where you are accessing. That IP address you can mention. That's the source IP you can mention. Or you can, if you don't want to mention that, then you provide a complete range. That means 0.0.0.0/0. That means everybody is allowed here. Anybody can connect to this machine on port 80. When we are launching an instance, this is the normal life cycle it would go through. First, you select an AMI and then you say launch. Initially, it would always be in a pending state. From the pending state, it would then come to the running state. Sometimes, due to any reason, you might need to reboot that also. It may reboot also. When you don't want to do this, you terminate. It would be shutting down and then it would be terminated. Yeah, if you want to stop, it's an EBS back AMI. You can stop the instance also, and you can restart again as and when required. Now each EC2 instance would have different kind of a IP addressing. Every EC2 instance would be assigned a different kind of an IP addressing. They would have a private IP and public IP both. Generally, I would say 90% cases, whenever an EC2 instance is launched, if you launch normally, it would have a private and public both kind of an IP address. And those IP address would also have a mapping DNS name also. Now, why do you need a private and public both kind of IP address? You need private IP address because if one instance wants to talk to another instance in the same zone or same region, they can talk over the private IP. The public IP is required when you want to talk to instance from the internet, so from your home office, or if one instance wants to talk to another instance in the separate region. Remember the word region, because regions are the separate entities, so they would be completely different geography location. So one instance can talk to another instance in the separate region over the public IP. Along with that, Amazon also offers a concept called elastic IP address. This elastic IP address is nothing but a static IP available to your account. The reason is you need a fixed IP address for your EC2 instance. So whenever an instance is available, you want to connect to that, you want to attach connect with a fixed IP address, you can do with that elastic IP address. By default, Amazon gives 5 IPs or 5 elastic IPs per region. So Amazon is having a 10 regions, you can get up to 50, 11 regions, you can get up to 55 IPs. But that's not limited. In case in the one region only you want more than 5 IPs, you can request Amazon, they would increase your limit. So elastic IP advantage is it belongs to your account and it doesn't belong to any instance. So even if an instance terminates, you can remap this elastic IP to another instance. Yeah, it does cost you. And that's a very important for you to understand, because when you are going to do the hands-on, this might be costing you, and there are root cause of a little charge because of IP addressing. Because if you have procured an IP, elastic IP, and you are not using it, you have not attached to any running instance, that would cost you. Elastic IP helps you to achieve the high availability. So for example, an instance 1 is having a elastic IP of 1.2.3.4. That's accessible from the internet, right? Now due to any reason, instance 1 fails. What you do is you launch a new instance and assign the same 1.2.3.4 to instance 2. That second instance is also now accessible via the same IP address. So you just remap the elastic IP, so your application will work as it is. You don't need to go and inform everyone that my IP has changed now. So elastic IP or static IP helps you to achieve the high availability scenarios. Now let's understand the pricing of the EC2. Amazon offers the three kinds of a pricing models. First model is a pay as you go model. In the pay as you go model, you pay only for the resources you are using, and that would be charging you separately. So if I go to same AWS amazon.com/ec2/pricing, you would see there is a free tier concept which I'll come in a later part. But we are talking about the on-demand instances, and on-demand Linux would cost you separately. So that's a 0.0065. That's almost half, a little more than half a cent per hour. If you go for the micro instance, you would be charged at a 0.01, almost 1 cent or 1.5 cent kind of a case. Same way small would be charged like this. So based on your size, it would be charging you on hourly basis. This is on demand instance. Also, it's very important to understand that based on OS, Amazon charges you differently. So Linux, which is available free of the cost, there is no licensing cost of the operating system. It costs you like this. If you go to Red Hat Linux, it same thing would cost you a little bit more. So something which was 0.063 or 0.0 something, yeah, we'll go with the micro. So micro in the Linux was costing you 0.01. Here it's a costing 0.07, because that's the cost of the Red Hat Linux license. So some license cost is part of this. Advantage is again this license is available on a pay-as-you-go model. So if you are going to use only for 20 hours, you would be paying for this 20 hours license only. Same way if you are going with the Windows or Windows with the SQL Server or Windows with the SQL Web Server, Web Edition, or Windows with the SQL Enterprise Edition, based on that it would be charging you differently, because that includes the cost of the OS and the SQL also. Also, each region would charge you differently. Suppose I am here and this is the cost of 0.065. If I go to the Ireland region, same thing changes little bit. In the Ireland region, it would be costing me a little bit more. So based on each region, the pricing also changes. Advantage is you have no operational expense, only capital expense here. Now we go with the reserved instance pricing model. Reserved instance is an option which helps you to save cost up to 75%. With Amazon, if you go here, what Amazon says, you show me the commitment and I give you the discount. So what you have to do is, if you are sure you are going to run any instance for at least 1 year, you should go and procure a reserved instance. Why I say 1 year term is, if you procure it, Amazon would immediately start giving you discount between 30% to 75%. But yes, this is for the commitment. So whether you use the instance or you don't use the instance, even if you stop the instance or you terminate the instance, Amazon would keep charging you. So Amazon says, I would give you huge discount provided you keep on using it for 1 year. If you do a simple math, anything or any instance which you are going to run more than 6 to 7 months is eventually going to save you money. Is eventually going to help you to save the money. In reserved instance, there are three types of a payment types. All upfront, which means you pay everything from the beginning, then there will be no monthly cost. In partial upfront, you pay 50% or some amount from the beginning, and then it would charge you very minimal amount every month. In no upfront, you don't pay at all, but it keeps you costing fixed amount at every month. And for all these options, it will charge you even if you are not using the reserved instance. So when you are going to procure a reserved instance, you have to select which instance size you are going to use, what is the region you are going to use, what is your payment terms, what are the payment options you are going to use, all partial upfront. The payment terms means whether you are going procuring for 1 year or 3 years. If you go for 3 years, you get much larger discounts also. Advantage of the reserved instance is it's a very cheaper, it's a flexible. So you can select for the various models you want to use it. It's a very reliable also, because it ensures that you reserve the capacity. It's a very easy to use also, the user can get it. It's a scalable. There is also some marketplace available in the Amazon for this. So if you want to trade in, you want to buy, you want to sell, you can do that with the marketplace. Means you have procured a reserved instance and you are not going to use it, you can sell it off, though there are certain Amazon restriction based on that. Or you can also procure a reserved instance from the marketplace. Third option of the pricing after on-demand and reserved is a spot instance. This is a very curious and important case to know. Amazon says, I have a humongous unutilized capacity. So I can give you this capacity at a very cheaper nominal rate. So if you say my on-demand instance cost me 20 cents an hour, I can give you same instance at 2 cents an hour. 2 cents, I'm talking about 2 cents. How? You have to bid for this. This is more like an auction. You go and say, I'm going to bid this instance at 15 cents per hour. Though it's costing me 20, I'm bidding for 15 cents. Amazon says, great, you bid for 15 cents. But you know what? My current market rate is only 5 cents an hour. I'll give you at 5 cents. I'll keep you giving for 5 cents as long as the market rate does not cross the 15. It means what would happen here? Suppose you bid for the 15 cents per hour rate. The current market rate keeps varying. That's the Amazon based on the demand and supply, it would keep varying. So this is the 2 cents, this is 5 cents, and this is 15 cents. Just an example. Now, as long as this is within the limit, it would keep giving you. If due to any reason this market race increase beyond your bid rate, you bid it for the 15 cents, Amazon would terminate the instance immediately without notifying you. Yeah, it may notify you, but without giving any warning, it would terminate the instance. So this is not the great use case for the production, though it can be leveraged in the production in a different way. But when you want to run something temporary, like you want to run a batch process for an hour or two, which requires a humongous like a GPU kind of resources, why don't you go for the spot? You bid for that and you would be able to get the capacity in a much cheaper way to you. Each AWS account would have a different kind of a identifiers. It would have a unique ID which will help you to identify your Amazon account. That's a 12-digit number available to you. That number is very helpful because you can share your own accounts details with someone else using AWS account ID. Along with that also it would have a canonical user ID that is used with the Amazon S3. When we talk about the Amazon S3, we'll show you that canonical user ID is also, it's a very long 20-digit number which will help you to share your Amazon S3 resources with someone else. Now comes the most important aspect. Free usage tier. What is that? Let's see in the browser. Each Amazon, when a new account is created, up to 12 months from the account creation, it gives you some free usage tier. Yes, if you want to learn the Amazon, that is the best option you need to do. AWS free tier. So you first register with the Amazon account. You must have procured your Amazon account. After that, you have to use the Amazon resources within the defined size and configuration, and I assure you Amazon would not charge you. It's not my assurance, it's Amazon assurance. My assurance is if you follow my tips, whatever size or whatever tips I tell you, if you follow that, it would not be costing you. So for various Amazon services, there is some free usage tier available. You can go to awsamazon.com/free and look out all the various services offered by Amazon as a free of cost. Like if you go for Amazon EC2, it gives you up to 750 hours of the Linux or Red Hat Linux or Windows instance of micro instance size free of the cost. And that means total 750 hours. Means if you run one instance for whole month, or you can run two instances, each instance for 15 days. Total, as long as it's not crossing 750 hours, it is free of the cost. Advantages, even if it crosses 750 hours, like suppose you run an instance, it runs for 800 hours total, Amazon would charge you only for 50 hours because first 750 is free. When we progress, and for each and every service I would keep telling you which service to use, how does it cost, and how it's a free tier, you can use that. So that's about this session. In the next video, we will be doing the hands-on with the Amazon EC2. I hope you are a great learning of the Amazon EC2 theory part, and I'm sure you would also enjoy the demo part, hands-on with the EC2 too. Thank you.